what that means is we're going to go over what's called take command. And this doesn't mean when we're talking about taking command, we're not talking about coming in like a drill sergeant and putting everybody in their place and exert that authority. What I mean with taking command is being able to establish that bond with your team, being able to establish that channel of communication that will allow you to build a relationship. Because what we want to do here is build a relationship-based clan, right? Because the whole objective of this is to be able to build a brotherhood. This is not a job. It's not nobody's employees of anybody. Nobody has to report to anybody other than the fact that you want to belong to a brotherhood. So building a strong bond that is equally beneficial to everybody is very, very important for somebody to be able to be in this kind of project. Does that make sense so far? Thumbs up? Oh, thank you. All right, so we're going to go through how do we get to establish that relationship, and how do we earn the right to lead? All right, I don't know about you guys. I love that DC has a thumbs up just sitting there. That's awesome. So something that I've noticed, and I've been working and leading teams in fortunately in different countries, different cultures. So the good thing about it is that you get to understand how everybody relates and what common ground can you find regardless of the culture or the language. And when it comes to leading, you got to earn that right? Nobody's going to follow somebody that they don't believe in. Nobody's going to follow somebody that they don't believe they have their best interests at heart. So that basically what we're going to harness here and we're going to hammer on is how do we convey that to our team, and how do we earn that right through establishing a relationship with them. Make sense so far? Sweetness. Yes, I was waiting for the thumbs up from a DC. That's awesome. All right. So I'm going to share my screen now. Here we go. And everybody can see my screen? Excellent. This is the first time I've ever done this through Zoom, you guys. This is usually in person, so first one for me. Now, we said that the first module is going to be taking command. So what I want to know is, and as you guys want to respond, let's be orderly here and take your mute off and tell me what you want to tell me. What do you guys believe that it means to take command? What is the first thing that comes to mind when you think about taking command? Best strategies.
Taking responsibility for the decisions.
Love it. Okay.
Telling what people to do if they don't have any ideas.
Gotcha. Okay, what else can you guys think about?
Taking initiative when it comes to anything.
Taking initiative. Okay, I like that.
Setting the example.
Leading by example. That one is huge. We're going to talk about that one. Absolutely. Leading by example.
Being the go-to person when anyone's got questions.
Okay, perfect. So always being at the service of your team.
Establishing community.
Establishing community. Okay, so you guys have a pretty good idea of the relationship-based situation that we want to put ourselves in. We don't want to come in hot and just demanding that collaboration from everybody. We want to be able to put ourselves in a position in which we're going to earn that right, correct? Sweet. So let's move on. First thing that we need to know, your priority when it comes to this type of relationship-based situation is to manage people, okay? And when we're managing people, we need to understand that everybody has a different personality, everybody thinks differently, and although we're all sharing in the same brotherhood and we're all kind of have the same general idea that brought us together, we all have our personalities that differ from each other. So as a leader, you're going to have to be very, very good and very, I want to say, diplomatic when it comes to being able to handle those different personalities, okay? Because the moment we start sounding like it's my way or the highway, that's the moment in which walls start building up. And then we stop getting collaboration, and what we start getting constantly is, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I don't agree. And you start getting those obstacles and those sticks in your wheels, so to speak. So what we want to do is we want to be able to be mindful of the different personalities so that we can cater to that. Because as the leader, we are serving them. There's a caveat there that we're going to go over pretty soon, which is we're also building a team and we're building a brotherhood in the image of we think is correct, right? Peter Strago has an idea, and that idea will trickle down through a DC, and then there is a common ground, and there is a DNA for this brotherhood that will be built through a DC, through the warlords, through the generals, and then the generals are going to be responsible to put that culture forward. Okay, but we're going to have to do that dealing with different personalities. But at the same time, we don't want to err on the side of catering too much to a little minutia of everybody, because then we're going to lose the essence of what we want to build. Following me so far? Sweet. All right, guys. So treat your pack right. Then let's go back. Put relationships before. Put objectives. Put relationships before objectives. Okay, my thing is moving all over. What I want to say with that is, we don't want to make this. Remember when we were talking all about sales, and then we went into brand Viking 2.0? And do you guys remember this sigh of relief that we were hearing from people when we told them this is not going to be a sales-based thing anymore? It's going to be a lot more to be able to earn your way through this. And the sigh of relief on a lot of people, because it was no longer a sales goal, it was a relationship-based situation that now we were into. We were into that. Now we were collaborating with each other. We're going to get points for different things that we do, not just sales. So we were basically putting the relationship before the objective. Does that make sense so far? And that is what made everybody feel that sigh of relief, in which they knew they were not going to have to just hammer down sales constantly and burn out the possibility to build a relationship, because we're putting the objective before that relationship. Make sense? Now, so one of the easiest things that is going to help us create this relationship-based scenario with everybody in our team is being able to delegate on them. There is one very, very common mistake to management, and I've done this so many times, is the thinking, I'm here because I am the best at doing everything. Right? That is usually, how do you come to a promotion usually? Is because you excelled, and the moment you excelled, you got a promotion. So now, coming with the mentality of, I'm here because I am the best. That is something that can really deter our ability to lead others, because then we are in constant competition with them. So what we want to do is, we want to learn really, really fast that for us to be able to lead as we move up, and the higher you move, let's say let's take this to the business aspect, okay, so we can make sense of it. You can be a frontline person, a frontline team member, you're in sales, you're in customer service, whatever it is that you do, and then you move on to supervisor, and then you move on to manager. And then the higher you start moving in the chain of command, the more you're going to need your ability to build relationships to be much higher than your ability to perform. Because you start dealing with personalities rather than just a sales pitch and when you need to move a product. So that's when you need to understand you're not good at everything. Nobody is. And you need the help of your team. Now, how do you get that help is by understanding to delegate, what to delegate, when to delegate, and how to delegate. You want to be able to give people the importance that they deserve. If you have somebody in your team that is better than you at doing something, you want to be able to put that forward. But in order for you to do that, you need to pull yourself out of the situation. All right, I want to give you an example. Have anybody here read a book by Jocko Willink? Jocko Willink, Leaf Babin, Extreme Ownership. All right, so Jocko Willink got another book after Extreme Ownership and the Dichotomy of Leadership, which was, honestly, I don't remember the name right now, but it's Field Manual of Leadership, and he put like a name like that. It was very, very military mindset, the title that he chose. But one of the chapters is explaining how you can get lost in the front lines, and you can lose your perspective on the situation. And he told a story about when he was at BUDS. He was an instructor at BUDS. That's a Navy SEAL school. Basically what happened was one of his guys that he was training as a platoon leader he got stuck in the front lines, and they were getting killed. They were getting flanked. There was no way for him to be able to assess the situation. So basically, what he did is this person was a very smart guy, very strategic guy. In theory, he was always on point. So it was very confusing for him how he was getting lost when he was going into practice. So what he did is he grabbed that guy and told him, "You are too far into the front lines to be able to understand what's going on, to understand the complexity of your surroundings." So he pulled him back and put him behind the lines so that he could see everything that was going on. From that point, he understood that he was getting flanked. He understood the movements that he needed his man to do, and he was able to give direction into everything that needed to happen for them to be able to be successful with the objective. Now, that can't happen if you're stuck in the front lines. So that is the same thing when you're managing a business. If you're managing a business and you are, let's put my example. I'm running a club. In my club, I have about 60 people, about 8,000 clients. We have 53,000 square foot of facilities, and I have my staff, right? If I am the one doing everything, I am the one doing the sales, I am the one doing the customer service, I am the one always in the front lines, and I don't know what's going on in each department. The best thing for me to do is pull back. Now, am I a manager or am I a general manager? I'm a general manager. I'm going to pull back all the way until I'm only dealing with my managers. So this would be warlords. If warlords are at all times talking to recruits, you guys are going to miss the rest of the big picture of what's going on with your warriors, what's going on with your generals, because there's simply not enough time for us to be able to pay attention to so much. All right? So you pull back and you deal with your generals. That'll give you perspective. It'll help you understand who's who. What are they good at? And once you understand what people are good at, you can get them the tasks that they're going to be able to excel on. Once people are excelling at a task, they take pride on it. They want to keep doing it, and they want to do it better. This is something that happened to me when I was, they sent us to, in 24-Hour Fitness, they sent us to California for a week for something that is called Leadership Training Camp. Leadership Training Camp basically is all general managers are pulled away from their clubs for a week, which for us is criminal. So for us to be out of our club for a week is ridiculous. None of us would get, how the fuck are we going to get sent? And there was a why behind all that. And the reason was, if your club only works when you're present, then you did not build the right structure. You did not let the right structure. You didn't put the right people in the right places to be able to take care of your business. Because if your business only works when you're there, how long are you there? 10, 12 hours, 14 hours? So your business will be relegated only to work while you're there. So basically, they took us all out of the clubs and they sent us to California. Okay? And then the first day, there was something very interesting. There's something called the Clifton Strength that tells you what are your 5 strengths for management. And if ever you guys have the chance to do that, I highly recommend it. One of my 5 strengths is called achiever. And during this, they told us, we want you to find one of your 5 strengths and tell us how that can be a weakness. And that's when you flip the script, because suddenly you go, how can a strength be a weakness? So that's what really got me thinking into the achiever part. The achiever part is you always want to fulfill the objective. You always want to win. You always want to finish everything that you're given. That is the achiever's strength. It's what gives you that drive and that focus to not stop until you got it done. Okay, but at the same time, if that thing is not getting done, the achiever strength will take you to do everything yourself. If somebody didn't complete their task, you're going to go and complete it for them. If somebody didn't do their job, you're going to go and do it for them, because to you is more important for the objective to be done than how it's done. And when that happens, that's when that strength can turn into a weakness, because now I'm crippling my team. How am I crippling my team? I am micromanaging them. When I start micromanaging people, they never get the chance to make mistakes. They never get the chance to be able to understand where they're doing things wrong and be able to progress, be able to make changes and be able to become good at it. So something that I did on my first day there, I figured, you know what? I'm going to give my team one call, and I'm going to tell each one of them what they're in charge of until I'm out, until I'm back. While I'm out, you're in charge of this, 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 and this. And I made it very clear, this is going to be your task. If this is not done by the time I'm back, that's going to be your responsibility. You are in charge of this. And then I completely disconnected from my club. Did not get a single phone call that week because everybody took pride on the fact that they had a responsibility and they had a job to do. So me delegating that did not have the effect that I thought it would have. I thought if I'm not there for a week, things are going to be crazy when I come back. It was the complete opposite because they felt the sense of responsibility. They were given a responsibility that they were good at, and they took that to heart, and they felt like they would fail if they didn't excel at that. So when you give your people that responsibility, they will respond. Of course, you're going to have the cases in which maybe they won't, but here's the question. Did you give them the right responsibility for their skill set? Because if I have somebody who's good at sales, but then I put them in charge of customer service, and then I put the guy who's great at fixing the machines, I put him in charge of sales, then obviously they're not going to be able to perform their task, and there's going to be a lot of frustration for them because that's simply not their skill set. So then that is our job, is to step back, understand who do we have, what skills do each one of those people have, and then give them the responsibility to do that and avoid micromanaging. Pull back and let them figure out. You know what's going to happen? They're going to make mistakes. Yes. But once they make those mistakes, don't go and fix it for them. Just tell them, all right, that was a mistake. Let's celebrate the fact that you realize that that's wrong. Now, how can we fix it? How would you do that differently? Knowing what you know now, how would you proceed in this manner? And let the person find that out. And then once they do, let it happen. You don't need to take credit for anything. Just, perfect, you got it. Now go and fix it. And what's going to happen with that is they're going to start creating that sense of responsibility. And they're going to feel that you trust them. Once you feel that you trust them, you are earning the right to lead them. Once they feel the respect, then they'll give you that right. Am I making sense so far? Yep. Excellent. So that is what creating meaningful relationships means when it comes to that. Okay, is giving people, I got you guys in the middle of my screen. There we go. Perfect. All right. And then creating a meaningful relationship is also something that you need to do despite the goal. What does that mean? It means don't be friendly to somebody. Don't be close to somebody as long as they perform right. Then you're going to be close. And when they don't perform right, you go like, oh, fuck this guy. Because you know what that's going to show? That's going to show that you only have a relationship because you have an interest. And if you only have a relationship because you have an interest, then there's really not going to be full honesty. Because people will give you that right. They'll build that relationship with you and they feel safe. And you can feel safe when the relationship is more important than the goal. Okay? When I care about my employees, when I care about my staff, I care about them. I don't care about how many sales they do. I mean, obviously, you know your job. You have to cover a certain quota because if not, this is eventually going to become a problem. But if one day you're having an off day, I'm not going to go immediately and go like, what the fuck is going on with your sales? No, I'm going to go to that person. I'm going to ask, hey, what's going on with you? You're usually good at your job. But today I feel like you're not on point. So something must be happening with you. What is that? How can I help you? That tells the person that, yes, sir.
Hey, sorry to cut you off, but I just got to thinking, in this module, as we go through, are you going to have any tips for making connections with people, even though you don't have a common interest or anything? Because I feel like that's an extremely valuable thing, is to know how to build those relationships and get those connections, even though you aren't on the same level or you don't share the same interests.
I love that. No, 100%. Yeah. And now we will go through that. But now, here's what I got to tell you to that. Regardless of the interests, whether you share the same interests or not, you can build a connection over the fact that I care about you. You know, for example, Chris. I don't care about the Steelers at all, man. But Chris is a good guy, so I want him to succeed, right? So if I know that this makes you happy, then I'm honestly gonna try to take the time to understand why that makes you happy and create that common ground with you. If I can't find common ground, then I will create it. Does that make sense? because I care about that person. Joe.
Along the same lines, is there anything about sort of, as you know, obviously in regards to certain conflicts that I've had, sort of bringing the relationship back after a conflict, if that makes sense?
Yes. So you mean you had a conflict with somebody?
Yeah.
Are you talking about what we talked about yesterday?
So somebody brings up, you've got a good relationship, you bring up an issue which causes a conflict, and then obviously once you've drawn a line under it, bringing that relationship back and moving past it in a way. Do you have sort of any hints and tips on that as we go on, or?
Yes. So, in my experience, usually when that happens is because someone's pride has been hurt. And when someone's pride has been hurt, it is very hard to come back to a relationship. Not because, let's say that I was right, okay? Then the other person is going to be kind of a little bit embarrassed over the fact that we started arguing and then he realized that he wasn't right. Or let's say I wasn't right, but I'm thinking that I am. Then that relationship is going to be chafing because this person is seeing that I am full of pride and I don't want to admit that I was wrong. So I think the best way to get back to a relationship is, hey, we disagreed on this. That's fine. It can happen. But at this point, this is what I need because let's say I have a problem with a staff member that reports directly to me. We had a disagreement on how to do something. What I'm going to tell them is, first of all, I always try to take an input. I always try to take the input of the person. And if it doesn't affect my final goal, but it's not the way that I would do it myself, but taking that input will help me or it won't deter my goal, I'll take the input. If a person goes like, oh, you know what, I want that red, and they're really adamant about it being red, and honestly, it makes no difference for me whether it's red or yellow. It's just a matter of me being right. I'm going to be like, oh, fuck, let's put it red. I don't care. As long as it doesn't bother the objective, I don't care. But then if a relationship got hurt in some way, the best way to do it is the exact same way that you fix it with a friend. Is go to that person, talk about, hey, what is bothering you right now? Let me tell you how I view this. Tell me how you view it. We don't have to agree, but I respect you very much. You're very dear to me. I have a lot of respect for you. So I want to be able to move past this. We can agree to disagree. We don't have to agree on everything. But what do you need to move past this? And most of the time, most people just want to be heard. They just want, it's like customer service. How many of you guys have worked in customer service here? I see a lot of hands. Okay. So here's the thing. I'm looking at the new people that we have. What's up, Jonathan, Brandon? Hello, guys. All right, so check this out. In customer service, a lot of times people are mad, right? They're upset at you beyond measure. And there's really nothing you can do about it. I mean, I can't really fix the time that it's going to take. It's up to the United States Postal Service. Or I can't fix the price. It's a corporate price. I can't really move it. And a lot of times there's nothing you can do, or something already passed and you can't really change it. But most of the time what people want is they want to be heard. They want to have that channel of communication open in which you're not telling them, listen, this is done, we're not going to talk about it anymore. They just want to have those 5 minutes in which they get to vent a little bit, and then you just move on. They just want some understanding. Have you guys, the guys that have worked in customer service here before, has that worked for you? A lot of times, don't they just want you to shut up, listen for 5 minutes, let them vent, and then as soon as they're venting, you go like, I understand what you're saying. I totally hear you. I wish it could be different. There's nothing I can personally do about it. But I do get your point. I understand your point. That's all it takes. Joe, go ahead.
It's very similar to something that we learned when I was about 17. It's called LEARN. So it's listen, establish, apologize, rectify, notify.
Correct. Yep. That is exactly it.
Can you put that in the chat, Joe?
Yeah, of course I will. You just wanted me to speak, didn't you?
It's just wanting that validation, right? It's just wanting the understanding that there is an open channel of communication, and you're not just shutting someone up because you have the position to do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So here we go with creating meaningful relationships. Now, when you're creating a meaningful relationship, one of the main things that I look for is don't fall prey to a script. Don't think that creating a meaningful relationship is just going to be a cookie cutter formula, E equals MC square, and every time it's going to work. Because the truth is that every person is different. Everyone that you're going to talk to is different. And the truth is that in order for a relationship to extend over a period of time, it needs to be real. It needs to be true. Now, that means that you need to be yourself, okay? Because this is the biggest difference that I see when it comes to creating relationships from the place of work. You can either have the car salesman approach, okay, which is the product approach, and you can have the service approach. I don't know if you guys have noticed that when you have a product approach, the approach is a lot of times a lot more aggressive, a lot more intensive, a lot more, we need to close the sale now. A lot of phrases that are already there. The guys know a script. And the reason that happens is because once you buy a car, you're not going to buy a car until like maybe a couple of years after. And once you buy a mattress, you're not going to buy a mattress until a couple of years after. Same with the house. It's not going to be like every month you're going to be coming back to buy another. So they don't need to build that relationship over a period of time. They can get away. Salesmen that sell products, and I've been that, we can get away with presenting this pretty picture that might not even be true. Follow that script, that cookie cutter, because the person is not going to see you for years, so who cares, right? But when you are in the service industry, then it changes a lot. Like when I moved into the service industry, when I'm selling a gym membership, for example, when I'm selling a personal training product, when I'm selling something that is going to require an update every month, you're selling insurance, you're selling, internet provider services. You got to build a relationship because you're no longer being able to spew your little speech and then move on, and you're not going to see that person for years. You're going to be seeing that person all the time. So it's the same thing with you guys when you're talking to your recruits, when you're talking to your warriors. You're not doing a one-time sale. This is not a, let me convince you to get into the beer struggle, let me say all the right things, and then we're going to be good. Sold, you're done. Because you need that person to collaborate every month. You need that person to get integrated. You need that person to become part of the brotherhood. So you need that relationship to be real. And you can't fake relationships over an extended period of time. That is just not possible. At one point, the cracks start to show, your personality starts coming out, the things that you pretended to agree with, that you didn't agree with just to get somebody lured in, they're going to start showing. And when that happens, that's the moment you lose that leverage, because the person will understand that you presented something that is really not true, and the cracks are going to show. Does that make sense so far? Thumbs up. All right, I'm going to take a little quick. Any questions so far? Anybody raising your hands? I see Carl. What's up, Carl?
Yeah, I got a question.
Let's go with Carl, then with Garrett.
What about with those? We've got one lad in mind who's made it perfectly clear doesn't want any relationship. He wants no building of a brotherhood with us. He's literally just there. He's not interested in anything whatsoever.
I'm going to give you my opinion on that, okay? And the reason I'm saying I'm going to give you my opinion, because obviously this is going to be on the desk of the director. But my opinion is, you don't belong in a brotherhood. What are we doing? If I go to a place, let's say you go to an MC, you go to a men's club, you go to whatever, and the first thing that you tell people is, I'm not interested in building relationships, I'm not interested in being part of a brotherhood. What the fuck are you doing in a brotherhood? It's just like, I'm sorry, this is not going to be for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that is something that we're going to talk about today. And I had this conversation with Faisal not too long ago. There is nothing wrong with presenting your expectations and saying, this is who we are, this is what we want, this is what we expect. If you fall in these categories and you share these values with us, and we're going to talk about values in a little bit, you share our core values, you share what we're trying to do here, then you belong. Come on in. But if this is not your cup of tea, there's nothing wrong with that. There's plenty of places for you to go and do whatever it is that you want to do. This is just not the place for you. No hard feelings. If ever you change your mind, our doors are wide open. But right now, unfortunately, this is not a good match. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. And honestly, it is better to do that. Because if we accept that guy in and we tell him, oh, it's fine, man. You know what? We're going to adjust a little bit to you so that everything is okay. What we're telling that guy is we're willing to bend who we are to adjust to anybody. Then we don't have a true identity. And how long until those cracks start to show? Right?
Yeah, I mean, how many people can we bend towards before we lose exactly who we are?
Exactly that. So if it doesn't belong, it doesn't belong. There's nothing wrong with that, you know?
He comes straight in and he says, don't call me brother. I won't call you brother. You need to earn the right to call me brother. That kind of attitude to him.
Oh, man. I'm going to be honest with you. I wouldn't have that guy in. There's nowhere to go from there. You're trying to be part of a brotherhood. There's nowhere to go from there. Just tell him, hey, I understand what you're saying. I'm not judging you. I'm not saying you're right or wrong. What I'm saying is this is not part of the DNA of who we are. And unfortunately, if it's not part of the DNA of who we are, you can't have it. So this is not for you, brother. Well, don't call him brother.
No, call him brother blatantly.
So, Garrett, what was your question, brother? Can I call you brother?
Oh yeah, you can call me brother. Okay. I'm trying to do this driving down the road, so just bear with me here.
I hope I don't hear.
No, you're good on that.
So if the screen goes black, we know there's a problem.
Yeah.
Exactly. The one thing I have is that since I got promoted to warlord, I know that we need to have a replacement general. Now, with all of my warriors, I have gotten to know all of my warriors, and they are some pretty good dudes. But I don't think that my warriors are in it for anything other than just being a warrior. However, I have a recruit who I think would be a good predecessor to take over. And I don't know if I should hold on to the general slot for now until he becomes a warrior and then promote him to general after that, or if I should try if any of my warriors might want to take a stab at it. But I just don't feel like they want to have anything other than that.
Let me open a parenthesis here because I feel like I'm going to be stepping on ground that is on Adisi's desk. Which is, so Adisi, stop me at any time if you feel like the answer that I'm giving is not according to the guidelines that you created, okay? This is what I think. The general position is a voted position, am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So if it's a voted position, the only thing that you can do is throw your support at somebody. Now, recruits Adisi, can recruits apply to be generals?
Not unless there are no warriors. So if there are no warriors, then recruits can. But in this specific case, they wouldn't be able to.
Got it. Now, here's the thing. This is like a situation in which I want to promote somebody, but they haven't been with the company for long enough for me to be able to make that promotion happen, right? Which is kind of different because in business you can really do whatever the hell you want. But when we come in with the guidelines right now, he has to be a warrior. Now, I don't know how far away your elections for warriors are, but I'm assuming that if you were the general of the clan, and Adisi, correct me if I'm wrong, it will be up to you to put forward who you want to be promoted in the next promotion, because the new general is not going to really have they're not going to make it on time. Am I right on that? Okay. So
Yeah.
then what I would tell you is promote this person as soon as you can. Promote it to warrior. Throw your support. Say, hey, I believe when he throws his name in the hat, throw your support. Say, I truly believe this person would do a great job as a general. He has my full support. And then the only thing you can do is just hope for the best and hope that your support carries enough weight to move everybody to vote for that person. Because
True.
that person has to earn their spot. If somebody comes as a recruit and they don't get voted in and they get put as general in front of everybody that has been waiting and they wanted the position, the only thing that's going to create is going to be difficulties for the new general. He's going to have a hard time getting everybody to fall in line.
Yeah, I was going to say he's going to have a lot of trouble getting the respect from everybody because he didn't earn it. He was just thrown into the position. What I would recommend is next promotions are in 2 weeks. I would just hold out until then. We promote them. And then as soon as we promote them, we can be like, all right, we're going to try and get the Idaho general in. Let's do an election. And then just like Zeke said, throw your support out there. And then maybe we can rally them together to funnel their votes into him.
Okay, yeah, to me, it sounds like I'm trying to do something shady, but I just don't feel like the Warriors that I have right now would be a good fit. I think that this guy, I see some leadership qualities in him, and I think that he would be a better fit than the Warriors that I currently have. So
Listen, I'm going to say something right now. Don't think that you're doing something shady because nothing that we told you just now breaks the rules. It's all according to a rule book. It's all according to everything that everybody else. We're not saying fake promote this person immediately, and there is no bending of the rules here. You're simply understanding as a leader. You're understanding that the best thing for the mission is for this person to be in charge. So if the best thing for the mission, according to the information that you have, is for this person to be in charge, there's nothing shady in trying to help the mission.
And I would also say you might be pleasantly surprised as well, because there's been a couple times where I've been like, in my experience as a leader through other companies, we've promoted someone who I've been like, I don't think this person's going to be the right fit at fucking all. But then they got promoted, and then as soon as they get promoted, they change entirely and they take over and they have all these amazing leadership skills. It's just where they were at in the company wasn't suited to their abilities. So you might be pleasantly surprised with whoever becomes leader as well.
This is true. Well, I'm going to bounce out of the meeting. It's starting to get shitty again, so I will catch this on YouTube.
Yeah, stay alive, brother.
All right, will do. See you guys later.
Right. So, guys, moving on. Let's talk about something that will help you create those meaningful relationships. There is a phrase that is in the book, The 7 Habits. Has anybody read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? I don't see any hands. Okay, I highly recommend that book. And DC, I just love the way you slow motion that donut. He was making love to that pastry. All right, guys. So, The 7 Habits is a really, really good book that I recommend to anybody. And if you have Audible, it's about 14 hours. So whenever you're driving, you're going to have plenty to listen to. And there is one phrase that I love that it says, you can't, and you have it there on the slide, you can't talk your way out of a situation you behave your way into. Okay? So what does that mean? You know, when you're a parent, you guys have kids here, right? I know a lot of you guys have kids. I know you have grandkids. Okay. When you say, hey, I need you to do this, and this, I need you to behave like this, and then the child will immediately go like, but you do it the other way. What? Do as I say, no as I do. Right? And that is the thing that comes out, because they will pay attention to our behavior more than they will pay attention to what we say. And that is something that will stay with us until the last day of our life. It doesn't matter if somebody tells you you need to do things this way, and this way, and this way. But if they're doing it a completely different way, you will learn the way they're doing it. And if somebody tells you, I love pets so much, I love animals, and then every time an animal comes near them, they're like, oh, fuck, shoot, get out of it. And then nobody's gonna go to that person and say, hey, that person loves animals, because he completely behaves himself in the completely opposite way. So when you try to talk your way out of things that you are doing, you are creating a completely different image than when you're presenting with your words, with your actions. Okay? And then your actions are doing the talking for you. It's going to be impossible for you to get anybody to fall in line if you're not following the things that you're saying. Does that make sense? See some thumbs? Cool. All right. So, in order for you to attract the right people, you need to create the right culture. In order for you to create the right culture, you need to behave in a way that is congruent with the culture that you're putting out. Does that make sense? And the more people that come in because they resonate with what you are showing them, you're telling them, this is a brother. Let's take Joe's example for it, right? No, was it Joe? Yeah, that you had, no, Carl, that you have somebody that didn't want it to call brother. Okay. Now, think about this. If you let that person in, that person goes against everything that we're trying to do as a culture. Okay? Now, that's one person. Imagine if you get two. That person brings a friend. What are the chances that his friend is going to think different than him? Slim, right? You hang out with people that usually share the same thing. So he's not going to go to somebody and tell him, hey, you need to come into this place that is full of brotherhood. Everybody calls themselves brothers. Just fucking awesome. He's not going to be telling that to his friends. He's going to be like, hey, come to this place because, and he's going to give his opinion. Now, if he's allowed to be in there, he's going to bring more people out like him. And then more people are like him. And then that's going to create a contradictory culture in between the culture that we're creating. And then, God forbid, they become majority, then your culture is going to be that. So you need to be clear in what it is that who you are. Like, if you are UK West, I can't read the rest. Carl, where are you from? West? North?
West Midlands.
Okay, West Midlands. Now, he needs to be. The clan for the UK West Midlands is this. Is brotherhood. We all call ourselves brothers. We hang out together. We do this. We do that. This is who we are. This is our core. And anybody that comes in needs to resonate with that. And the moment that happens, what's going to happen is you're going to increase your cultural output and increase the synergy of your team. And that's going to start bringing more and more people like that. For example, I'm going to take this to something that can be understood in a business point of view. When I'm selling a membership in a club, when I'm teaching my guys to sell memberships, whenever they sell the highest membership possible, the $100 membership that includes everything, whenever they get somebody to agree to that, you know what I tell those guys? Get as many referrals as you can from that person. Get a good relationship with that person and get as many of those friends as you can to come into the club. You know why? Because if he's paying $100 for a membership, chances are that most of his friends are going to be able to do the same. Because that's who we are, right? We flock together. So then you need to be careful not to attract the wrong people. And that is up to you. It's up to the leader to be able to explain and put out there exactly where you want your culture to be as a clan. Good so far? I'll make a little pause for questions. Anybody has their hands up? No. Moving on. Oh, yep. Hold on. Hand up. Caleb.
Yeah, I guess one of my questions falls back on the, I guess to be specific, the want to be involved and knowing whether or not the guys in the group want to be involved has kind of been hard. You know, it's like they're involved, but very minimally.
Okay.
And so it's like, it's easy to converse and get to know the guys. It's easy to, talk and bullshit with them. Feels relatable with each of them. But at the same time, it's like how to establish the actual team building aspects of the group, if that makes sense. Like activity wise, I guess.
Okay. Well, that's going to be something that you're going to have to deal with a lot. There are certain things that are affecting our ability to build this at a higher rate. And obviously, the fact that we can't
Absolutely.
Does anybody? Let's make sure if you guys are not talking to mute. Perfect. Okay. Is the fact that we can't see each other. All right. We can't hang out. We can't do a lot of things. So you're going to realize that it's a little bit more difficult to build that relationship. Now, the other thing that's happening is this. It's a work in progress. It's a live organism that is happening right now. The clans are a live organism that is changing constantly. And DC can attest to this. There's going to be changes that are going to happen over and over again until we arrive at the DNA of what we want. Okay. Rome wasn't built in a day. So expecting that the first idea is going to be a home run is very unlikely. So there is a lot of changes that are happening right now mixed with the changes that are happening in the world that are hindering our ability to be able to build those bonds the way we would under normal circumstances, right? So what I would say is, in this case, just relate with whoever is there. Don't let the fact that not a lot of people are going to be watching deter you from engaging with the people that are going to be. Because
Absolutely.
what's going to happen is that the moment somebody feels comfortable and somebody feels at home in this brotherhood, they're immediately going to touch you. They're immediately going to try to bring somebody into their fold. Make sense?
Yeah, it's kind of like the like you said, the people that are active are a real strong group of active. It could be a group of 30 to 60 people, but those 10 to 15 people are the strong chain link, if that makes sense. It's kind of how I'm trying to look at it.
Yes. Keep working with those people.
Absolutely.
Because eventually that's going to pay. That's going to bring more people into the fold.
Right on.
Cool?
Yeah, I like it.
Now, how do we build the right culture and attract the right people? Okay? The main thing here is, right, is the core values. You need to know what your core values are. You know how you know what your core values are as a person? When you think, I am this type of person, and I carry something with me, and I don't have it with me right now. It's usually in my wallet, but I'm not going to go and fumble around. But it's a little card that says, on one side is green, on the other side is red, and on one side it says, my allies, and on the other side it says, my enemies. And those are not people, those are behaviors. On the side of my allies, there's charity, there's understanding, there's like all the good things that you want to be as a person. And then on the other side is the things that you want to avoid as a person. You want to avoid being selfish, you want to avoid your ego, you know what I mean? So then I carry that with me, and every now and then you read that and you remember who you are as a person, right? So that is your core values, is the DNA of a person, is the DNA of a personality, so to speak. Is what tells you what you're okay with, what you're not okay with, what you will accept, what you won't accept, right? What tells you lying is not okay with me, cheating is not okay with me, right? So you need to have the same thing for your organization. You need to know who you are as an organization. What is called the mission statement. The mission statement is basically what are the core values that your organization has, and how do you explain that into a little paragraph that'll make sense for anybody that reads it to know exactly who you are as an organization. If you don't have that and you don't know that, if somebody asks you, who are you as an organization, and you don't know that, it's going to be very hard to start portraying that to be able to attract the right people for that culture. So that would be step one. What I recommend is, step one of that is, who are we? Who are we as an organization? Who are we as a clan? DC will have to tell us who we are as an entire brotherhood. What is the core values and the mission statement of the entire organization? Then you're going to have the warlords. I got Chris here. Chris is going to have to know what is the core values for West Coast, what represents West Coast, what is our DNA, what is our personality DNA, and then you're going to have the generals. The generals are going to be responsible to know what is the personality of the clans. It's not going to be the same in Texas, than in Florida, than in Washington. Obviously, things are going to differ depending on where you are. So you want to be able to present that you're part of a global thing, but at the same time, you need to have your core values as a state so you can attract the right people that you want to attract. Make sense so far? Questions on that? Do I see any hands up? I want to make sure I pay attention to you guys because I'm not seeing everybody at the same time.
And just so everybody knows, that creed, that statement, our core values, I just put that in the chat, and I just put that both in the UK and USA chats on Slack. So if you have someone in your clan or your et that's saying, I don't want to be a part of the brotherhood, our literal creed is being a brotherhood, working together for charity, and creating a better place in our communities. And that's essentially it. So if they don't want to be a part of that, why are they here?
Exactly. And then once that's clear, you're not the bad guy. You're not making it up as you go. It's right here. It's on the wall. And so understanding who we are. Second to that is projecting that, behaving in that way. If we present our mission statement beautifully put, brotherhood, honesty, charity, and then with our actions, we are complete dicks. We go completely against what we put in our mission statement. That is not going to create the right culture. There's no way we're going to be able to create cultural output from the premise of not following our core values. Does that make sense? So in my businesses, usually what I do is I say, I want this place. Let me put this real quick. Meeting that I had as soon as I took over the last club that I took over. It was a 12-year-old club. It was a club that was a corporate club, so I couldn't decide the price. So my thing was this. Can I change the price? No. Can I buy all new equipment to compete with the newer clubs? No. Can I change the facilities, the 12-year-old? No, I can't do anything about that. So what's under my control? Being the cleanest club, being the friendliest club. Those things are 100% under my control. I don't need anybody else to control this thing. So then we decided that our core values, our hedgehog, our main mission was going to be, we are the cleanest and the friendliest place. And from that moment, we practice that. And we practice what we preach every day. Now, my day will begin with two things. First thing that I would do is I would go and ask all my employees when I would get in, everybody that was there, is there anything that I can do for you today? Anything that will make your day easier. Boom, help them with that. Second thing that I would do is I would grab, if we had a little cart with all the cleaning supplies, I would grab that little cart and I would go and clean the bathrooms, all of them. Go and clean the bathrooms, I would go and clean the showers, I would go and clean everything that is nasty and gross for anybody to clean, I would go and clean it first. And then an hour went by when I was asking somebody else to do it, that person was not going to tell me no. They were not going to tell me I'm not going to go clean the toilet. They were not going to tell me I'm not going to go clean the shower. Because I did it. I am living by what I'm preaching. So then the people that work for me, they know that there is no escaping that. This is who we are. This is not who you are. If you're not willing to do the work here that everybody does, then you don't belong here. So it's the same thing with us. We got to know who we are, then we practice it. We show it. There is no exceptions. There is no, because I'm the general, the warlord, the director, I'm not going to follow certain directives that are put in the brother. That doesn't exist. As leaders, we are the first ones to obey exactly everything that our core values say. And that is the only way that everybody else is going to follow. Make sense so far? Perfect. All right. Let's move forward. There we go. Okay, so, like I said, before leading, you need to know yourself. If you don't know who you are as a person, it's going to be very hard to lead others. Because people who don't know who they are can hardly ever direct other people and lead other people on what they need to do. Okay? Because you're going to be easily, I don't know the word in English, so somebody correct me, persuadable, I want to say. Is that a word?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so you're going to be easily persuadable. If you don't know exactly who you are, then anybody coming with a strong enough idea is just going to sway you out of your way. Just going to move you to, oh, hold on, that makes sense. So it's not that you want to be rigid and never change your opinion, but at the same time, you need to know who you are. You need to know the kind of person that nobody's going to come and convince you to go rob a bank. Because it doesn't add up with your value, right? So you need to know exactly the kind of person that you are. And that comes from knowing yourself. knowing exactly what you stand for, who you are, what you go for, what you won't go for, and all that stuff, right? Now, there are three things that you need to do to be able to do that. Number one, you need to take a step back. You can never make a proper assessment of anything that you are too close to. You take a step back and you look at yourself, who you are. Then you look at the big picture. What do you want to achieve? What environment are you involved in? Is this the environment that you want to be in, or are you in the wrong place? But that happened to me. I took a little break from the fitness industry a couple of years ago, and I figured I was going to go try something else. And when I pulled myself back and I observed my life and I observed where I was going and what my future was going to be, I didn't like it. It wasn't resonating with me, and it wasn't resonating with me. I wasn't going to enjoy my life. So what's the point? You know, if this doesn't resonate, if building this brotherhood and being the leader of this brotherhood doesn't resonate with you, then you need to be honest with yourself about that. Now, if this resonates with you, then you need to understand why it resonates with you. Once you understand why it resonates with you, then you can help other people to come to the same conclusion. But you can't teach somebody to do something that you haven't done. Okay? And there is a very important thing that comes from social psychology, which is misalignment creates anxiety. What does that mean? The difference between who you say you are and who you really are. The further away those are, all the space in between is anxiety. In the back of your head is, how long until I am found? How long until my behavior shows? How long until somebody discovers I am not really like it? So anything that is different to who you are will create anxiety. Even if for your people, somebody comes in and this doesn't resonate with them, but you're convincing them so good that you're getting them in anyway, that person's going to live in constant anxiety because who they are doesn't resonate with what they're doing and where they are. I need to understand if that makes sense to you guys. We have thumbs up? Okay. Sweet. Chris, did you change your jersey? Ah, man, I got excited for a second there. All right. So, like we said, misalignment creates anxiety. So make sure that you align. Okay? And another thing, a friend to all is a friend to none. What does that mean? Let's not bend the rules. Let's not misalign ourselves. Let's not change our core values just to cater to everybody, because we're going to end up catering to nobody. This is the same thing that is happening to Carl. He needs to be very, very clear with this person. This is not for you. We're not going to bend the core of who we are just so we can cater to you. That makes sense? Now, another thing that is that I always encourage when you're trying to build that right culture is make mistakes part of the process. Build a culture where it is okay to make mistakes. Because if you have people that are gun shy at trying things because they're afraid that they're going to make a mistake, then you are always going to be stuck in the know. You're always going to be stuck in the comfort zone and in what you already know how to do and never be able to get new things in. So whenever somebody brings an idea, don't shut them down. Don't go like, you know what, no, that's not the way we're going to do things. Just marinate it for a second, take the idea, you know what, let me think about it. And then if it doesn't work, if it works, use it. If it doesn't work, just explain why, but always try to take something. And if somebody makes a mistake, don't go and cut their heads off. Make sure that everybody understands, all right, this was a mistake, it's okay, it's an opportunity to learn. What can we do different now? And it's the same thing that we talked at the beginning. Allow the person to solve their mistake, right? So they are the ones that understand that it is okay to try something new. Because if I make a mistake, all I have to do is fix it. Right? Oops. We already talked about this. Stay true to who you are, and like-minded people will come your way as well. Perfect. All right, so in this one, I am going to go exactly by the bullet points that we have, because this is important to get it right. How to successfully apply the values into your team's culture. The first thing is going to be work on the delivery of your values. Understanding what those values are. Making sure that you know exactly who you are as a person, who you want to be as an organization, and be able to communicate that very, very clear to anybody that will ask you. And does it sound good? Here's something that I do. I usually write my things, but I know now you have like the whole camera that you can record yourself saying and whatnot. You can do it however you want. A way in which you're going to be able to read that from the outside and see if it resonates with you, if it makes sense. Work on that delivery. How are you going to communicate that to your people? Okay? Second thing, never think the rules don't apply to you because you're in charge. The rules apply to you even more because you're in charge. Because this is what we talked about. The moment you start bending the rules, you start telling everybody it is okay to bend the rules. Okay? So you got to be the one that is obeying those rules to a fault. Allow mistakes to happen and discuss them openly and without judgment. Never make somebody feel judged when they make a mistake, because what's going to happen is they're not going to come to you when they made a mistake. They're going to keep it to themselves. And then you're going to find out when the mistake is so big and there's such a big problem that it's going to be impossible to solve. And how many times have we had, honestly, and I want hands up, how many times have we had problems in this organization, in the clans, that were minimal problems that became bigger because we didn't talk about them on time?
So many times. So many times that has happened.
Yeah? Okay. And that is the same anywhere you go. All right? The moment there's a problem, make a culture of openly being able to talk about that. Whenever somebody has a problem, if you don't want to discuss it with the group and you prefer a one-on-one, that's fine. I'm here. My door is open. Let's discuss it. But let's put it on the table when it's a problem this big. And that is something I tell my employees all the time. Let's take care of problems when they're like this. Let's not let them snowball, because then we're just going to be trying to hold this big thing that we could have solved at birth. Does that make sense? Now, following that, take full ownership of every situation. And I'm going to refer again to Jocko Willink and Liv Babin here. In their book, Extreme Ownership, they say there are no bad teams, only bad leaders. That is a very powerful statement, and to which I'm going to add my own caveat. Does that mean that there are no bad team members? No, there are bad team members. But you, as a leader, should have realized when somebody's a bad team member and be able to put a cap on that before it becomes a problem. Yes, sir, Joe.
It's sort of the situation where, yes, there can be bad team members, but it proves who you are as a leadership, how you handle that.
Exactly. And that is what we were talking about, the problems, right? When you catch those, when you create a culture of openness, when you create a culture in which everybody can come to you, everybody can come to the team and say what's going on, because they're not afraid of judgment, they're not afraid of repercussions, they can be fully honest, then you can fix those problems when they're this small. And here's the thing, if somebody comes and tells you, you did something that you shouldn't have done, don't you ever dare to try to justify it just because you're in charge. If you messed up, you messed up. And the best thing that you can do is say, that was my bad, I'll fix it. No worries, you're right, 100%, let me fix it. In the same way that when somebody messes up, I never take, to give you an example, guys, somebody walks into my office, hey, we have a problem. Or, I go, okay, hold on. You have a problem. Let's see if it's we. Okay, let's see. So, this is the problem. Perfect. What's the solution? I don't know. Okay, go marinate that in your head. Think what the solution would be. Come back after that. Let them come with the solution. If it's a problem in the department, they need to have a solution. If they can't find a solution, I'll be happy to help them. But I'm not going to be holding everybody's hand. Does that make sense? Questions so far? I'm going to take a look and see if I see anybody with their hands up. Sweet. All right, so full ownership of every situation, no matter what happened. At some point, as the leader, you had the chance to solve it. Whether you say, oh, well, but somebody did something wrong. At one point, that person was kind of showing that they were a little bit of a dickish person, but you didn't realize it, and you let it slide, and you looked the other way, and then it became a problem. So it's still on you. Make sense? Cool. Inspect what you expect. That one is a huge one. It sounds so obvious and so cookie cutter, but that is so true. When you tell somebody to do something, you need to keep an eye on that. Because if you don't keep an eye on that, the first time they're going to be worried that you're gonna find out that they didn't do their job. The second time, you might be worried as well. The third time they realize that you're not checking, they're done doing. Okay? So you need to always make sure that you are inspecting the things that you expect from people, so you can make sure that nobody is just purposely not showing up to what they're supposed to be doing.
I have a question about that, if I can ask.
Hold on, who is it? Scott.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Go.
So, I created a Facebook message group outside Discord only because of a physical meetup we're having.
Okay.
And two of my guys said that, or they pretty much asked if we could have a Facebook message group, and I told them that we could, but we're also everything's gonna be on Discord mainly. So, and then one of them was like, well, I don't like Discord. So, I mean, I pretty much told him that that's where everything's headed. And I just kept it at that. I didn't, I don't know what else to do.
Correct me if I'm wrong, DC. Discord is our official channel of communication, yes or no? Then it's a requirement.
Okay.
If you want to be part of the brotherhood, this is part of it. This is one of the things that
That's what,
are unfortunately non-negotiable. If they want to have a group on Facebook to talk among themselves, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many unofficial groups for every organization, but the official group is this one.
that's what I thought. Oh, well, I knew that, but I didn't know if, yeah, never mind.
No, I know it's right what you're saying. You're trying to be nice, and you're trying to kind of allow that space for something different. But the truth is that is something that unfortunately we're going to have to be very adamant about, because if not, what's going to happen is 5, 6, 7 different channels of communication, and what we're trying to do is steer away from that, right? I mean, DC is really making a great effort to be able to concentrate everything in one place, so you guys don't have to check a million things. So, I mean, if they want to go and do it by themselves, that's fine. But the official channel of communication is this one. If you're not on Discord, you're going to miss out, because I'm not going to be putting a message in every other channel of communication.
Okay. Sense? Yeah.
Be the leading example of the behavior you want to see in your team. We talked about that. We went on that a lot. But I see Brandon Gathers raise his hand. Well, that's pretty cool. What's up, brother?
Okay. So I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Yes, I can.
Okay, cool. So along with what Scott's going on, I actually have the same issue for the most part. I have 3 guys that will talk on Discord, and I've been trying and pushing and trying for the past couple months to get everybody on there. So there's 6 of us, and the only thing they'll talk on is Facebook. So, I mean, a lot of the things that I go over with everybody is strictly on Facebook, because then, you know, I can actually get everybody to see and talk about things that are coming up, events, plans, anything we go over, where, you know, I'll also post it on Discord or whatever and get maybe those 2-3 guys that will actually respond to it. Now, I have told them that I will be moving everything to Discord, and I still get the issue of nobody responding.
I have a question.
Same. I think a part of that is just that people aren't very susceptible to change, and maybe whatever. So it's like a hose. If you want people to go somewhere, if you want the water to go to the end of the hose, you can't have any cracks or any holes in the hose, because it's going to go out the easiest way possible along the way. So if you allow them to want to use Messenger or Facebook groups or a Facebook page or whatever, then they're absolutely going to do that before they ever do the Discord thing, because they have these outs. Okay. But with that being said, with the program being so new, maybe it is easier to use Messenger, whatever is easiest for them, because that'll help build that brotherhood. That'll help get that initial thing that we need right now is a safety net. And what we're working towards with the safety net is whenever we bring new people in, we need a place for them to fall into safely so they can be welcomed into the brotherhood. And right now with Discord, when we bring people in, there's not that much activity in there, and that's where the new people fall. So whenever they fall into the Discord, they're falling right on rocks. There's no brothers in there to really catch them. So that's kind of the issue we're having with that, if you guys kind of understand.
Yeah, and that was going to be my other question was, whenever you put it on Discord, do you also put it on Facebook? Do you also put it on do you go and you copy the information and you cater to everybody? Because if that's happening, then there's no reason. It's like DC said, there's no reason for them to even go to Discord. I mean, if we don't go to Discord, we're going to get the information anyway. The moment you stop giving that information, you say, hey guys, starting this date, I will only post information on Discord. And they see that you're actually following through with that. Then they're gonna start downloading Discord, or they're gonna fall off. Now the problem is this: if they're not willing to work with the Brotherhood, then again, do they really belong?
Now, the only reason why I did the Facebook Messenger group is because some of the guys scored, or else I would have kept it in there. But it just seemed like people started chiming in more on Messenger. But I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, and that could also be because they have notifications installed on Messenger and not on Discord. So maybe, and I put together that tutorial for Discord. It's really not that hard. It's just categories of chats. And that's all it really is. And once you explain that to them and you show them how to turn the notifications on, it's not that hard. But I get coming into it, it can be a lot.
Yeah, and honestly, that's one of the things that I think when we were on our one-on-ones with you guys, we were talking about the fact that it's so much all at once. From 0 to 100 miles an hour and a million messages. And it can be massively overwhelming. And that is usually, let's talk about business process. When I hire somebody and I'm about to train them, I never throw them on everything at once. I just grab one portion of the job and I let them work on that. Once they got that down, I'll add another thing. Once they got that down, I'll add another thing. I'm not going to go, you're hired. Hey, let me throw you at the front desk and good luck, brother. So that's a miss to brother and buddy, apparently. But, you know, you can't do that because if not, it's going to be like trying to drink water from a fire hose. It's not going to happen. There's too much at the same time. So my recommendation would be to shield recruits as much as possible from being part of the grand scale of the brotherhood. I know that it's cool to show how many we are and how many parts of the world we're in, and that's a great way to sell it. But we can do that without giving full access to them so they can get all dizzy with information. We can tell them, hey, we're in this amount of countries, we're in this amount of states, we have this many people, but you got to earn the right to be part of that brotherhood. So this is how you earn the right to be part of that brotherhood. You got to interact with your state. Show me that you are worthy of us being able to interact here, and then you'll get access to the entire brotherhood. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Obviously, this falls into what a DC wants to do with the program, obviously. But I mean, I've been part of brotherhoods in which the rule was that you don't have access until you earned it. That's fine.
After we talked about that, Zeke, I really liked the idea, but I brought it up to the generals and everybody, and they kind of thought that the recruit should have immediate access to everybody. But honestly, guys, I'm kind of thinking that we should restrict that a little bit. That way, because I'm noticing there's guys active in other chats, but they're not active or speaking in their state chats at all. And that's where they should be the most active starting out, you know? Yeah, Joe?
I agree completely. My thoughts were that as a recruit, you should really be within the clan, your region only. And that way, you being engaged and participating in your clan becomes second nature by the time you gain access to everything else.
Then once you get warrior, everything else will start to open up. And then, like, so as a recruit, you would only have access to the announcements and to the state chat. And then when you become a warrior, by that time, you should know Discord enough that whenever everything opens up, you should be able to navigate it pretty fluidly. So I think that would be beneficial in two ways. One, it would help the new guys that don't know Discord that much. And two, it would allow them to only speak in their state chats and get to know people in their state rather than flying around all the other chats and only being active where activity is.
Yeah, and I mean, I've had my watchdog come to me today and actually say, look, I've got a list of names of all our recruits who are engaged and talking in the UK chats, but never say anything in the clan chat. And obviously, because of that, and because they're not getting involved in the charity event that we're doing, because they're not getting involved in this, and this, they're never going to be a warrior because they're not talking to us. So ultimately, you know, they need to know that these are the guys that you go to. This is your immediate brotherhood, and then this is where everything starts, and that you widen out rather than coming back in. 100%.
Chris Babbitt, I saw you had your hand up.
Yeah, man. I think the idea of basically giving them access only to their region, or in our case in the U.S., into their state, is a great idea. Because I know whenever I first came in the Discord, I'd never heard of Discord, and I saw it, and I'm like, holy shit, what is all this crap? But now, as I've been in it longer, yeah, it's easier to navigate, and there's stuff I can turn off, stuff I can turn on that I want to see, that I don't want to see. But I think bringing in the new guys, especially ones who have never heard of it, never seen the app or the program, saying, look, this is your state, this is your region, these are the guys you talk to, this is the guys you build with. And then, like y'all have said, once you get promoted up to the next level, or you've been in long enough, hey, you know what, now we're going to open you up to the Gulf Coast. Let you talk with those guys, and so on.
And think about this, guys. Let's get out of there, whether it's easy or not to use Discord, whether we think that they should be able to handle it immediately or not. Let's get out of that. I got a question for you. When they get us recruits, are they already part of the Brotherhood?
Pretty
Who know
much.
those people?
Sure.
I'd say they are part of a brotherhood. Sorry to interrupt whoever was speaking then. They are part of a brotherhood, but then it's almost like the warriors become almost like the inner circle in a way.
Isn't there a probationary period?
1 month.
Okay. And isn't there a period in which they become warriors? Wouldn't the warrior be the equivalent of getting patched in?
Yeah.
So you're not part of the Brotherhood until you prove yourself that you're part of the Brotherhood, right? So my question is, how do we know that recruit that is coming in is not a massive dick that is going to poison our Brotherhood? How do we know that? We don't know that until we get to know them. So why would we expose our entire Brotherhood to somebody who might have a poisonous personality that will create problems for us in the future?
I think one of the UK generals has had a problem with this.
Sam, I see your hand up.
Yeah. So I think this goes back to what we were talking about in our one-to-ones, wasn't it, Zeke? We were saying about recruits should just have like a base area first before they can go up to another level of recruit, basically, and then they can go up to warrior. But if we look at the explanation of recruit in our Brown Viking knowledge base, it actually says that you have to campaign to be a warrior to be accepted into the clan. So it's almost like they aren't actually supposed to be 100% until they make it to warrior. So it was already suggested, but it just not really been actioned as much, if that makes sense.
That is already suggested that they're not part of the Brotherhood until they're warriors. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, it says that actually in the Brown Viking knowledge base, but it's kind of...
I think that's very sensible, because, I mean,
yeah.
that's like telling it, honestly, whenever we hire somebody, we know that probationary, we know that the first 3 months are key. We know in the first 3 months, if you sneeze the wrong way, you're out. You know that. You know you need to behave properly. So the thing is this, I mean, it would stand to reason that if we're going to be calling ourselves brothers, we're going to be trusting intimate things that we only tell our brothers, and we're going to be having this tight community that does charity together, does all these things together. It stands to reason that somebody will have to prove themselves and show us that they have what it takes to belong to this organization. I don't think anybody would be offended. I think that would actually show the recruits that we're serious. This is serious business. You need to earn the right to be calling us brothers. You need to earn the right to be a part of this, because we are very protective of the culture that we've created.
Yeah.
Joe.
It brings me back to an idea that I mentioned not so long ago, where it was because of a few warriors have taken on more responsibility, and they were saying to me that they feel in a way that they've obviously stepped up more beyond what other warriors are doing, that there should be a rank above warrior. So it's almost like it goes, and I suggested Huskarl because they were the inner circle of a jarl or a chieftain in that way. So it sort of went the general, and then his Huskarls, which included your treasurer, your watchdog, and everything like that. Then your warriors, which are your general members on the brotherhood, and then your recruits. So in a way, there's one more level that essentially you've been patched in, as it were, but then above that, there are the people that are taking on more responsibility for the group.
Like the officers.
Exactly that, yeah.
Absolutely, and it gives people something to shoot for, right? Because you want to have that, you want to have something to shoot for. You want to have, honestly, my take is people should prove themselves before they're a part of anything. Especially we're going to be calling people brothers, and you shouldn't be afraid to tell them that. They know what they're getting into, and if you can't handle being part of a probationary period in a brotherhood, but come on, dude, are you really that committed? Does anybody disagree with that? By the way, I follow what I say, so if anybody disagrees with that, it's 100% okay. Yes, Caleb.
I don't disagree with that at all. I actually wanted to add on with something that was reminded amongst some of the things that have been said. It's kind of like, in one aspect, yeah, in one aspect, it's kind of like sometimes to lead on too much information can kind of either be daunting or lead on the wrong perspective. And so in some cases, actually last night with my mentor about business and stuff, it's a lot of what he wanted to tell me. It's almost like he couldn't tell me until I could physically do it myself. Because then, with what I hear, I take what I want to out of it rather than physically doing it and feeling the experience itself. For me, when I started, and, in reality, who reads handbooks, who reads the terms and agreements? And that's something I've been trying to be better about lately. And so when I read that, you become a recruit and then there's ranks and levels you can go up on, to me, that was kind of like a personal challenge of, I really want to be in a group of like-minded people who also have something to offer, and being able to converse with some of you guys over the past has been nothing but informational and kind of like a learning lesson. Everyone has something to offer, and it's kind of like those people who have something to offer are people who've wanted to be involved and wanted to move up. But with that being said, it's to know how to know what you're getting involved in, why, I guess. And it's like you said, it's not even really about competition. It's more about the fact that we're all in this together.
Yes. No, I agree 100% with that. And do we have anything else in regards to this particular topic? Perfect. Now, the last thing that I would say when it comes to this is build a culture of honesty. All right? What does that mean? It means that everybody can come to you. It's the same thing that we were talking about. Build a culture of honesty, not only for them to come to you, but for you to come to them. Don't dance around things. If you dance around things and you try to sugarcoat it so that nobody gets their feelings hurt or something like that, you're gonna end up changing what you want to say and not be clear. And it's always best to be clear, always best to be honest, because that strengthens the bonds of brotherhood. If I know that what you're telling me is really what you're thinking, I can call your brother. I can be honest with you. I can do the same. Okay, if I know I'm not going to be judged, then I can open up. Does that make sense? So that's what we need to offer as leaders. We need to offer that space in which people can come and talk to you. And about anything. I've had people come into my office, talk to me about a problem they were having in their lives. I had a guy that was about to lose his daughter to a divorce, and his head was not in the game. And I told, you know what? That's fine. Just come and talk to me. Let's hash this out. Don't carry this on your own. But when you open those channels of communication, that's when you can create that brotherhood bond. Does that make sense? But again, you need to know who you are and what you are building. Because if you don't know that, then that's a problem. And I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to share with you what my mission statement is, which I'm not saying I'm perfect at this, by the way. I find myself having to come back to this a lot, but this is the DNA of who, if not who I am, who I want to be as a person, okay? And this is what I will recommend you guys to do yourselves, and I will recommend you guys to do it for your clan. Take the time to sit down and think to do exactly what I'm going to show you right now. This is my mission statement, okay? And I'm going to have to read that somewhere else. Okay, so it says, to take proper care of my mind and body, to constantly expand my intellectual horizons and further develop my leadership skills, maintaining integrity, ethics, in the pursuit of my passion and business, while being above all a good husband, a good father, a man of faith, and a pillar in the service to my community, and a helping hand to all that need it. That is a very clear statement, right? Tells who I want to be as a person. So what you need to think is, who do you want to be as a person? And what do you want your clan to be? What do you want to show the world? What do you want to show the other clans? What do you want to show when we're posting on Instagram? What do we want to show everybody that we're all about? You need to have that clear, exact idea. So that's what I would recommend you guys to do. If I can ask you to do anything for me after this, is create your own personal mission statement and create your clan's mission statement. For Warlord, create your region mission statement. And at DC, obviously, he's creating the whole statement for the Brotherhood. So that is basically what we need to know before we can even begin to form any type of bonds or begin to attract people to our organization is, who are we? Sense so far? Questions? Excellent.
Yeah, my personal mission statement is get paid, get laid, Gatorade.
That is brilliant.
Mine's more simple than that. Mine's get paid ice cream.
No, but this is actually really cool. I think I'm going to sit down and actually write that out for myself as well, because being able to see that, it completely embodies who you are as a person, and I don't have something like that. I feel like I'd just like to have that for me as well.
Yeah, and I have this in my notes. You gotta keep it close. Now, this is one I like a lot. And obviously there had to be a typo somewhere. You do not need to know everything. You just need to surround yourself with the right people. Okay? And I learned this from my father a long time ago. And I think that was my first approach to leadership, was being able to have my father explain to me how he did his job. Let me tell you who my father was. My father was a colonel in the Argentinian army. And the job that my father had towards the end of his career, which is after I was born, my father was already 36 when I was born. So he was already major. And then I saw him go through lieutenant colonel, and through his entire career. And what he would do is he would be the person in charge of, that's nice, Chris. Nice. All right, so that's what happens when you're a Pittsburgh fan. So, somebody raised their hands. Who was it? Okay, so my father's job was to go from command to command and fix whatever was not going right. Whenever they would have a command that was wasting money, that was unorganized, that it was like complete chaos, they would send him there, and they would give him about a year to fix it. That was his job in the army. All right, so one of the questions that I asked him was, how do you know how to do everything that you do? where do you keep all this? How do you know how to do all this? To which my father responds, I don't know how to do any of this. Like, what the hell? And I was like, I know how to surround myself with the people who know how to do this. I know how to give them what the tools that they need to perform the job they know how to do. I simply step back, think about the tasks that need to be done, and then I search for the people on my team that have the skills to do each one of those tasks, and I become their servant. I just make sure they have everything they need to perform the task. That to me was mind-blowing. Joe, I'm going to get you in a second. That to me was mind-blowing because it gave me my first approach to leadership. The approach of trying to do everything yourself versus understanding that, listen, doing anything great is an uphill battle. No matter what you're doing, anything that is going to be worth doing is going to be an uphill battle, and you're going to be carrying a boulder. You can either carry that boulder on your own and move at a snail pace and get tired, or you can get your team together, get them in the right place, and all start moving at the same time. And that is what's going to help you do great things. It's just as simple as that. Joe, go for it.
It was literally just to add to your point. A piece of life advice my brother gave to me yesterday actually was, you are the product of the people that you spend the most time with. If you spend time with people who are dragging you down or are toxic, then you will become that as a person. So if you surround yourself with people that want to succeed and have the same goals, then you will 100% succeed.
100%. Yes. And then the other question is this then, right? Suddenly you need the people that are going to do the right job. Now the question becomes, why should they follow you? Why should they follow you? Well, what reason could they possibly have to go and do your bidding other than position of authority? Which is, by the way, difference between, I think we talked this on the 101 calls, but we remember the difference between position of authority and influential authority, right? Everybody that remembers, raise their thumb. Excellent. So we want to go for that influential authority. We want to be able to get people to do what we're asking because they respect us and they understand that it's in their best interest. Now, why should they do that? That's when we come in. We need to show our people as leaders that we have their best interest at heart. The moment you start being selfish with your leadership, you will lose your people immediately. The moment there's a hard job to do and you always send somebody else to do the job and you're never there for the hard work, you lose your people. The moment you're never there for the nasty work, the toilet example. Can you imagine if I sent people who clean toilets every day and I never touch a toilet? Eventually they're going to be like, fuck this guy. So it's the same thing. You got to be able to earn the respect of the people by showing them that you care for them. You care about them. It's not just about the results that they can produce for you. You care about them as people. And because you care about them as people, they want to work with you. I have, today is my best friend. I love working for him because he cared about me as a person. The first thing that would come out of his mouth when I would get to work was never, hey, what you going to do today? Or before I left was never, hey, how did you do today? It was always about me. It was always like, hey, how you doing today? What's going on? How was your weekend? There was always a personal interest in my well-being. So when there's a personal interest in my well-being, I want to follow that person. And it's the same thing with the people that work for me. I have a personal interest in their well-being. My club had to close because of the coronavirus. Those guys stayed in touch with me every week. I am still in touch with them, and we're not even employees of the same company. Because I have an interest in them. I want to see them succeed. I want to see them do okay. I want to give them a place in which they're going to have a good work environment, in which they're going to come in and they're going to be relaxed. They're not going to be suffering on Sunday because they got to go back to work on Monday. So the moment you do that for your team, you make sure that they enjoy where they are. You make sure that you care about them. That's when you earn the right to ask them to follow you. And that is the only reason anybody will follow you.
I would say, especially in the type of environment that we're in right now, which is it's all, everybody's here because they want to be here, not because they're getting paid. So like getting people to respect and follow you and be able to fall in line is 100% going to come from your passion towards them and how much you care about them. That's going to be how they buy into you and they buy into all of this, and we begin to do amazing things. It's not going to be, hey, I want this fucking done and I need you to fucking do it. Because if it stops being fun, then people are going to dip out because they already got enough negative shit in their life, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And remember, nobody's getting paid here. So it's the same thing. Now, we need to, in order to get that approach, we need to understand the concept of being a servant leader. Leading is about serving. Thinking that leading is about being able to step back and do less work and let everybody else do the work is exactly what will take you to not have anybody follow you. All right? So you are everybody, honestly, when I'm at work, when I'm running a business, for lack of better words, I'm everybody's bitch. Whatever they need, I'm there. I'm in. What do you need? You need help with this? I'm in. Are you overrun here? I'm in. I'm always the person that is going to be able to help them wherever something is needed. And the moment you tap into that servant leadership, and the moment you tap into I don't ask for things, I offer my help constantly, you're going to start working with a better synergy and people are going to start wanting it. Does that make sense? Questions? Jesus Christ, Chris, fucking chew, dude. Yeah, we're going to see Chris getting blue in a minute. Just breathing that food in. So, guys, last thing about this slide is perception matters. And how your team sees you is how everybody else will see your entire team. Because this is what we said. Your actions will talk louder than your words. However you behave, that's the behavior you're going to allow for everybody else.
Perception is
If you say
reality.
that the rule is to wear a black shirt, but then you come in with a blue shirt every day, what are you telling your team? Right? So, however your team perceives you, that's how they're going to act. And however your team perceives you is how everybody outside of it is going to perceive your team. Does that make sense? Does anybody disagree with that? We need to be a shining example of everything we want to see, correct? Okay. Let's get to that conclusion, guys. We're almost coming to the end of this. All right. So this is another one that I want to make sure that I am reading it as it is. Okay? So let me get to my notes. All right. No matter what industry you're in, always make sure your project matches your passion. Reason for that is it's going to be a very uphill battle if we're not enjoying what we're doing. So whether it's here, or at your work, or anywhere in life, if you're not enjoying the ramp biking program, chances are that your client is not going to evolve. If you're not loving what you're doing, chances are your client is not going to love it either. So you need to make sure that your passion and what you love matches what you're doing in order to be able to lead properly. Second, know your core values and your mission statement. Live it every day and shape your projects and your team on the premise of those values. Those who belong will stay. We're not going to adjust our core values to each person that has a different opinion about how we should run it. This is who we are. These are our core values. They have been agreed upon. This is what we want to build. If this resonates with you, welcome. But stay true to that. Next in line, we have the public's perception of your team will most always match your team's perception of you. This is what we just taught. When you go into a restaurant and you look at the restaurant, you go like, this place is dirty, everybody's rude, fucking sucks. First thing that I think when I go into a place like that is, the manager here must suck. The manager here must suck. And I will drive. I swear to God, guys, I have before I switched to jet pizza, I was having mod pizza. I have a mod pizza a mile away from my home. I would drive all the way 8 miles, clear across the next town to go to the other one. Reason why? Because every time I would walk into that one, everybody would be like, hey, Zeke, what's up? How's it going? Everybody's in a good mood. Everybody was having flow and everything was good. When I would walk into the one that's a mile away from my house, everybody's stressed. Everybody's just yelling at each other. And where did that happen? Did that happen because like 7 miles apart, we have a completely different culture of people? Not at all. They're hiring the same exact people. And I swear, if we would grab this team and we would place it into the other restaurant, it would probably still be the same culture in both, because it depended on the person that was leading it. And if you go on that book, Extreme Ownership, there is a perfect example that Jocko and Leaf talk about when they were in Buds. It was one team that was always first and one team that was always last. What they did as instructors, they said, you know what? The team that was always last, the leader always had excuses as to why. So they grabbed both leaders and they switch it. So leader of boat number 10 became leader of boat number 1, and vice versa. Guess which boat started winning every race? Boat 10. Okay? And that is why, because the culture came from the leader. How we perceive a business reflects what the leader is doing. So make sure that you're that person. Next in line, questions about that?
Real quick before we move on,
go ahead.
because the pizza and the team thing is a perfect representation of kind of the ETS versus the Facebook group. Now, there's a lot of people in the Facebook group that aren't involved in the ETS, and there can be a lot of negativity happening in the Facebook group. But I think something good for us to be able to do, us who understand what's going on, we have a better idea of what's happening in the community. Whenever we see posts like that or people getting attacked, instead of going in there and attacking the people that are attacking, just start posting positive shit, embracing things, bringing people into the culture. Because if people see that they're getting attacked for their opinions, all that's doing is breeding more negativity, where we are a positive community where we embrace people. And that's a part of that leadership thing. So people want to come, people want to be a part of things that are positive and great, and they'll leave something if it's super negative.
Now, Caleb, I'm going to think about this for... Caleb, can you pick it up? I think it's yours. Thank you, brother. Now, here's the funny thing. When somebody makes a dick comment, like we've read on Facebook, we've read some dick comments on Facebook, right? Now, that person had the audacity to think that that was okay to say out loud, okay? What are the chances that if you go and you attack that person, what are the chances that person is going to go like, oh my God, I realized how much of a dick I was. My bad, my apology. That's not going to happen. That person is going to get emboldened. They're going to double down, and they're going to go even more. So when somebody is being openly a dick, there's no dealing with that person in an open environment like that. You just got to let it go. Just let that person die down. Don't address it. And exactly what DC said, just put something positive there. It's just going to die down. And that is how we build a culture that we want. Because we don't respond to that. We don't bite on that stupid bait that they put out there. And we fill it with positivity. So eventually, you know what's going to happen to that person? They're going to go to a place where somebody attacks them when they say something ludicrous like that. Because that's what they crave. That's what they want. You don't put that comment to not get a reaction. You're looking for that reaction. So the moment they get that reaction, now they have a reason to stay. The moment they don't get the reaction, they're going to be out of it.
Yeah.
Caleb, go ahead.
I was just going to add on to that with as far as the posts and everything else going on with that. It's like as far as being able to take constructive criticism, being able to apply constructive criticism. You know, don't expect that everyone's going to understand exactly what you mean. So maybe wording it the right way or a certain way could help. There's been a couple times, you know, I'm grateful to feel like there's been no negativity towards me or my group members or people that I call friends, but it's also like I could easily take something the wrong way. And one example is like a video that I wanted to share. And fortunately, we have one of the Facebook groups where we can try to like test it out, see what people think. For me, it was like I was able to get honest criticism that I chose to take a positive way. And actually, I never even posted that video because I 100% agreed with the criticism. In some ways, not everybody might be able to take that, if that makes sense. So understanding how to take criticism, but also how to give positive criticism.
100%. Yes. And hold on, because I saw Faisal, then Joe, then Sam. Hands.
Hey guys, how's it going, brother?
How's it going?
How's it going, Coach? I gotta say that you're doing an excellent job, bro. I'm really enjoying everything I'm seeing. But I just wanted to touch base or touch on that point there where you kind of said that people are more than likely are looking for a reaction. And, trust me, when I look at the Beer Struggle page, we get baited like every day. Like, for example, that post that just went out about some guy who was just bashing everything we're doing and, saying all sorts of things, right? Everybody was coming to me, hey, are we going to have a response? I'm like, what's the point? This guy has like 5 people that read his posts. I mean, there's no response needed. I mean, like, probably, I mean, most of you guys wouldn't have even seen it if it wasn't for, somebody dropping it into the channel, right? And, like they try to make it so like the truth, the bearded truth. Come on, get out of here, man. You're making yourself sound like a joke. Anyways, so I mean, like going back to what I'm saying is that that guy was trying to bait us into it, right? I mean, we didn't mention it in the group. No, we did. I didn't respond to him, and then he didn't get a reaction from me. So he went ahead and messaged me and said, "Oh, do you want to respond to this?" I'm like, "No, I don't need to respond to that, right? We're bigger than that. We're beyond that, right?" So, so touching on your point, a lot of people will say stuff to get a reaction, to get something started. And, it is up to you as a leader, as an individual, to identify that, hey, you know what this guy's trying to do? He's just trying to cause drama, or he's trying to cause, some sort of attack to, our team, right? To our brothers, right? Just trying to get a reaction. And, people are bored, I mean, they get bored, and, I mean, for some people, it's, whether it's positive or negative, it's a reaction. And now if we were to go on the offense there and, well, blah, 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 you're wrong because of this and that, and, this is, completely blasphemous, it would just make the other guy famous. And it would also, bring light to something that's not true. It doesn't make sense. That exactly. They get validation. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it.
Something
Anyways,
in
Coach, go ahead before I take over your meeting here. You're doing a wonderful job, man. I love it. I love everything that's I've been seeing so far. I mean, it's great. I'm glad I was able to join.
So, Joe, I had you next, and then I have Sam.
I mean, my point now is pretty much on the back of what Faisal said. I find, especially in England, I feel like it's a culture here that everybody finds it so easy to get drawn into negativity. And it's almost like a black hole. It just sucks you in and everybody gets really wound up. And sorry to use the word the UK generals, triggered. And it explodes and people just get so wound up. And I fall into that trap even more so. And it's what we need to create as a culture within the beard struggle is that being able to step away from that negativity and just sort of really pull ourselves into the positive. It's difficult because it's easy to be negative, but yeah, we do need to step more into the positive. And that's one thing that I personally am trying to bring into my clan is fuck the negative. Let's move on and do something good.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it was going back to the whole idea of the raids and things like that. Obviously, like, when I first joined, the raids were like, oh, yeah, someone's using copyright material. Oh, attack them on the post kind of thing. And after a little while, it just triggered in my head. I was like, maybe that's not the best way to deal with it because all you're doing is making it look like we're nasty. It just looked like we were giving ourselves a bad name. And when the whole thing with beard things kicked off, there were other brand Vikings in there who were saying, why we're being negative. He was saying about, how when we go on raids, we're just bullies and, we're rude, got people in there going, oh, come fight me. And I mean, who does that? He's an idiot. So yeah, like, and we were literally just proving his points at that point, because people would carry on jumping on and just going, Urgh!
Yeah, and if we know we're nasty, we're pretty much proving him right.
Yeah. And so, like, the more people who commented on his post in a nasty way, the more it spurred him on just to keep putting out stories, laughing, joking, sharing about how his engagement was going through the roof. And I feel like the the guy the other day with his blog thing. It was another attempt. It was another bait to try and get us to raid. And I actually noticed on his Instagram post, because I went and had a nosy at it, he'd actually put, "I'm probably going to get raided for this, ha ha." And then obviously he spoke about raids in the blog in itself.
Well, he probably wanted it.
Yeah, I mean, exactly, because it sends your ratings through the roof, doesn't it, and gets you more noticed. So yeah, Joe's just said it happens quick. But yeah, so like I've said to my guys in my group, I'm like, whenever there's raids, don't be rude, don't be big-headed or angry or anything like that. Just say, this content isn't yours, please remove it. Just be nice, quiet, simple. You know, you don't have permission to use this, please take it down. And it's like, there's no need for everyone to be so about it all. It's just a case of making sure that the people who posted it notice that it's not their material, they don't have permission to post it, and they do need to remove it. And I'm like, one little comment, that's all it takes. Just be nice. But just, yeah.
Real quick, Joe.
It's literally just on the back of what Sam just said. I find, and I was taught, that being nicely professional winds up the opponent more than going in all guns blazing, basically. Be nice, be professional, and ultimately you will get what you want, and you won't stress yourself out by it.
And guys, if you ever want to go deep on that, there's a book by Dale Carnegie that is called How to Make Friends and Influence People. That is the perfect book to illustrate.
That's a classic. That is such a classic book.
Yeah. It was the first self-help book ever written. And it's brilliant. So,
I mean, I don't know about you guys. I had a great time rating that guy. I think it was like, I think I was like 3 a.m. in Oslo. I'm like, all right, guys, everybody fucking go raid. That was my first day of quarantine we went, we went to Oslo to shoot, Norway to shoot content with the brand Vikings, right? And it was my first day of quarantine, and I was fucking bored. Well, I wasn't bored. I couldn't sleep. And, I was just like talking to everybody, and, this thing came up, and I was like, you know what? I think this is without getting him famous, it was a good approach. We went for his review section, and, everybody left their comment, and I think everybody was really professional. I mean, from the most part, we didn't bash his product because we never tried his product. We only bashed his, the way he was, what he was doing with his actions and stuff like that. With his, the way he. Yeah, we're talking about beard things.
I read those reviews, and that was very professional the way it was, because nobody talked about the product. Nobody went and gave fake reviews. They were just talking about the nasty marketing techniques that they were presenting, and that was excellent.
Yeah.
There was truth there.
And I mean, I personally don't think he's ever going to recover from that one, because I think there's about 270 different reviews. I mean, most of them have been removed. But I mean, I think I'll teach him a lesson not to kind of, not just the beer struggle, go after anybody in that attempt, right? Because it can, I mean, yeah, your engagement went up for 2 days, but they went up because everybody was out in your page rating you, right? So it didn't really make sense. I mean, it was good fun, but I mean, we got our point across, and I mean, I guess maybe it started other people who were like, hey, this is a good opportunity to get my engagement up, right? But second time, we're more smart than that. We're smarter than that. So we know when to attack and when to hold back, right? So I feel everybody's good. Everybody kind of did their part there, and that's why there was no raid called upon that, because I mean, we would just be sending him traffic to the website anyways. Would just be make that. If we were engaging with that post, it'd be kind of making it more popular in Google's eyes, right? So there was no real point and I went and checked up on it. I mean, there's not a single comment that was left, which is great. So I mean, it's something that's just gonna die off. Exactly what Coach said there is, it's gonna happen. It's gonna die off, and then we're gonna go back to business again, right? So, yeah.
So now moving away from perception, that takes care of everything we need to know about taking care of the perception of a brotherhood, right? Next point here on the conclusions. Well, I got lost. Be a servant leader. You're here to provide guidance and support, but you serve your team, not the other way around. Always understand that as generals, you guys are serving your warriors and your recruits. You're there for them. And it's the same thing with the warlords. Warlords, you're there for the generals. The better you understand the servant leader mentality, the easier it's going to be to create that culture of loyalty with your team. Okay? And then you cannot achieve great things alone. Become great at delegating. We talked about that one. Okay? It's easier to move that boulder uphill when you have help. So don't be afraid to delegate and don't be afraid to create other leaders. The best thing that can happen to you and something that I've always taken as a huge compliment is when one of my employees tells me that they're either gonna leave because they got hired at a higher position, or they're gonna take a promotion in another gym in the same company. Every time I see something like that, I take it as a compliment because this person was able to grow under our leadership. Now, how cool is that? How cool is that somebody came in and they got to grow under our leadership? That is the best compliment you could possibly have. So don't be afraid to delegate and allow people to shine because that's going to reflect on you later. Sam, go ahead.
Can I just double check that DC is taking note right here? Because that man takes on so much.
Yeah.
Let us help, man. Let us help.
Yeah, we're here, man.
Guys, I
All
will
of us are
say,
here.
I will say that from the beginning, it felt like I was this guy surrounded by 1,000 fucking people at all times. And then I was able to get some generals, and then, you know, I had people surrounding me that were help getting these people down. And then I got warlords, and like now we're finally getting this hierarchy together that like I can finally be able to manage things a little easier. And it is such a relief you don't even know.
And here's something that I'm going to add to that. If you have a recruit or a warrior that is talking to a DC for some issue, unless the issue is with you, you have a problem. If there's people bypassing you in the chain of command, you have a problem. That person did not feel comfortable coming and talking to you. So it's either with you, it's either about you, or they don't feel comfortable with your leadership. So whenever something like that happens, you need to stop and think, why are my warriors talking to a DC directly? As a warlord, why is a DC having to solve the general's problems for me? Right? And that is a look in the mirror. That's what a level 5 leader does. It looks in the mirror. It doesn't point the finger at other people. It points the finger at the mirror. Because if somebody didn't feel comfortable coming and talking to you, then something you need to fix. Anybody disagree with that? Cool. Now, you cannot achieve great things alone. We covered that. And now the final one is, the biggest kryptonite for leadership is hypocrisy. If you do not embody what you preach, no one will follow. And let me put that again. If you don't practice what you preach, nobody will follow. So when you make that mission statement and you create the culture for your clan, you better make sure that you embody that culture. Because if not, all you're going to do is take credibility away from yourself and you're not going to recover from it. Make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so the next part was going to be, we did it across the whole thing, but I had reserved a little part for Q&A, but I think we did it along the way. So I want to give the opportunity for anybody, if you guys had a question that you wrote down or anything that you wanna say, now's a good time to do it. Joe, I haven't heard you speak at all, so go ahead.
I know. I mean, I've been so quiet. I mean, it's really not like me.
No one's upset. We like that voice.
Oh, thanks, man. I might do some podcasts for you. This is for Scott. But the
I have a question for you, Joe.
Go on.
Can you say wanker?
Wanker.
You bloody wanker.
You bloody wanker.
Blimey wanker.
What I was going to say was just on the back of my positivity comment. I mean, I know for me personally, like the beard struggle and the ambassador program is something that I use to actually escape my real life. You know, I've got a kid on the way. My work life sucks. My wife's disabled. I'm disabled. So it's definitely an escape for me. And we've got to remember that all of our guys that are under us are probably using it for the same reason. So if there's any negativity, it needs to go, because ultimately they're here for that escape and for that, like that support and that brotherhood, because I've had so many of my guys come to me just to vent and to rant at me because they've had a shit day. And I've always said from the very start, this is what I'm here for. I take mental health so seriously that if you need to just shout at me for no other reason you've had a shit day, do it. And it has helped a lot. So we just need to remember that is, you know, ultimately this is what this is for a lot of people.
Absolutely. One thing I was thinking about the other day was it's kind of a blessing and a curse that we launched the program right whenever COVID hit, because there's so many things we could be doing right now if COVID wasn't here. But also, if we didn't launch the program at that time, how many guys would be so depressed and so lost and alone right now if we hadn't done this and hadn't created this brotherhood? Like me, myself, that's part of why I bought in so hard, because I was literally alone. I didn't have anybody. And then I came into this and I found like-minded individuals, and all I wanted to do was help people out and get away from the reality that was.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been doing ever since.
And guys, something that I would strongly, you're 100% right with that. Something that I would strongly recommend for you guys is open up to your recruits and your warriors and tell them, hey, if you need to talk to me, I'm always here. Do wellness checks. If you guys need to get on a Zoom call because you're having a hard day, fucking get on a Zoom call. Just be there for them at all times. That's what brotherhood is about. It's about me being able to come to anybody here when I'm having a shit day. So that's very, very true. It's a very good point. And if you guys want to make it a point to have those wellness checks on your guys every week, I think that's going to have some very good results for you. Now, guys, the next slide that you're seeing there, if you scan that little code with your phone, it's gonna take you to a survey. Now, what I want with that is, I want you guys to give me your absolute honest opinion. This is, by the way, the survey is gonna be anonymous, so I'm not gonna know who said what, but I want to know what you thought about this, and I want you to rank this, and I want you to give me your feedback, because I thrive on feedback. I need to know what you guys are thinking to be able to make this better for you. Okay. So scan that. It's going to take about 3 minutes to complete the whole thing, and that will get to my email, and I'll get to read your thoughts without having your name attached to it.